Now, feedback coming through on Scott Morrison and Gladys Berejiklian and the leaked text messages. Ray says that was an obvious ambush on Scott Morrison at the press club. In my opinion, it was disrespectful. Well, what was really disrespectful was someone passing on the messages that were supposed to be private. I mean, people have all sorts of private conversations and private text messages, but you don't expect private messages to end up in the public domain. And someone clearly passed them along to a journalist because they wanted to embarrass the Prime Minister. Lucy says, I learned early on, you don't say anything in an email or a text message that you would not say to someone's face. Well, yes, that is probably best practice, but doesn't really always happen in the real world. So who's the leak? That's what everyone's trying to work out. On the line this morning is Jason Falinski, the member for McKellar, Liberal MP. Jason, good morning to you.
It's not me, Ben. I didn't do it.
I didn't think you'd be appearing on the program so willingly if you were the leak, I've got to say. Who was it?
Mate, all I can say is PVO, Peter Van Onsen, should tell us. I mean, it's absolutely appalling. I mean, whoever's leaked it has basically thrown Gladys Berejiklian under the bus, and he should front up and tell Australians who did it. And we can test their credibility. Because I can tell you the messages in those text messages aren't true. I know Scott Morrison personally. He does care about policy more than politics. He's not any of those things that that person said he is. So, you know, PVO, why don't we know who it is, and then we can test the veracity of that person and that person's character over Scott Morrison's. I know who I choose every day of the week.
Well, there are already finger-pointing accusations going on, both federally and also in New South Wales. I know that the Herald has asked Matt Keane whether it's him. He's refused to comment. We're chasing further answers from him this morning, but also in the story on Channel 10 last night, when Peter Van Onselen was saying Scott Morrison will be wondering which one of his cabinet ministers was responsible for the leak, he was showing the cabinet room in Canberra, so it could be someone in federal politics.
Mate, can I tell you, I've known Peter Van Onsen for 20 years. I like him as a person. I just don't believe, I'm calling him out here, I don't believe it was a federal minister. So I'm sorry, I just don't believe that story. So, you know, he can clarify it by telling us who it was.
We've got by-elections coming up, not too far away in New South Wales, a federal election in May. We know in politics, disunity equals death.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely it does. And it equals death because the people who you're meant to be representing conclude that you're just talking about yourselves and you're more worried about yourselves than you are them. And I think one of the hallmarks of the Morrison government has been that it is a government that is focused on doing the work of the people. I mean, a party room meeting, and I shouldn't be talking about party room, but there isn't a party room meeting that doesn't go by where the Prime Minister doesn't stand up and say, our job here is to look after the people of Australia and to be focused on their needs and what they need first and foremost every single day of the week, and that's what gets him out of bed. And I've got to tell you, it's a message that we all know because it's all been drilled into us.
Is this an internal battle within the Liberal Party between the left and the right? Because many are saying that that's the bottom line here.
Mate, that's news to me if it is. I don't see that in any way, shape or form. I just think this is one person who's gone rogue, who's showing off to a journalist. And frankly, I think it speaks more about whoever that person is than it does about any of the people they're talking about.
If the leak is identified, should that person stand down?
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Because if you can't trust one of your own colleagues when it comes to private communication, then that should signal that this person can't be trusted. Therefore, they need to review their future.
Absolutely, Ben. I think it goes further than that. I think it goes to a person's character that they would do that. Like, we all say things privately that, I know I have. I'll fess up to that. If I thought about it more, I wouldn't have said it. It was unbecoming of me to say. But to actually take that and to use it against someone publicly, that speaks to someone's character. It's beyond trust. Trust is just one element of it. So whoever's done this, if they're identified, they need to resign.
We appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Good on you. Jason Falinski, the federal Liberal MP, saying whoever the leak is, they need to quit.